Technically, we have to have somebody sign a contract, and we have to advertise. Well, we don't absolutely have to, but I did talk to the attorney, and she said it'd probably be best if you do, just to keep things clean. So once this meeting is over, we'll get our heads together and get a little ad to put in the newspaper saying that we're looking for somebody, a group or a board. That's what we'll do, and then we'll need you to apply if you're still interested. Okay, pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so again, thank you for coming. Don't get too comfortable. Grab your chairs, come fill all of these seats. Josh and I are going back this way, and we'll just kind of listen. If you want to come here so you can see the group or all of it, you can put yourselves wherever you want. You'll need some chairs because we don't have them enough. Josh, I got one over there. Hey, Brian. How are you? Okay, well, I get that, but come sit at the table seriously. Grab your chairs and put it over there, so you can all, I'm going to have this here and see. All right. So I'm just going to turn it over to Sarah, and you guys discuss. If you have questions, then you have to answer them, okay?
Okay, so yes, my name is Rachel. I appreciate everyone coming today. We're here basically to just to kind of set record straight, and we all know about this, but basically we couldn't come to an agreement with the town of Versailles. So basically I'm just here. I'm not here as the president of the board. I'm not here as somebody that wants to run the league. I'm just here because we need to come up with a board in order to have a program this year. That's just bottom line. If we want to have a program, we got to come up with a board. We got to come up with somebody that either wants to run it or that wants to be a part of a board that will run it together. And that's important to me. I know it's important to all of you, which is why you're here. I've coached for several years. We sponsor, as part of the coffee shop. And I know a lot of you have done the same. So I'm just basically here because I don't want to see it die. We're doing a lot in our school systems and, a baseball field project that also we use for the softball teams. All of those things are great things, but if our feeder program dies out, we're just not doing any benefit to the kids. So that's why I'm here. So I appreciate you guys coming. I just want to have a fun, safe environment for the kids to play in. I think all of you do too, where they are getting developed at the same time. So the best of both worlds. We want it to be fun. We want it to be safe, but we want them to be developing. We want it to be taken seriously, not too seriously, but we do want it to be like probably most of us remember it being. It was so competitive, but we still all had fun. Kind of getting back to that root of it's community-based, we're working together, and I think the hope is, and I don't want to speak on behalf, but basically we would form a board. We need a president of this board. If I had the capacity to do it, I would do it. I will be on the board. Josh Cronworth will be on the board. Jason Back will be on the board. Jeff Sell is going to help us. But the idea is that it's a healthy board, so we need to have a president, but then past that, we can come up with, and I've got a couple ideas to basically appropriate things so that we're not doing, like one person's not doing too much. And I've got some ideas. We can kind of talk about that later. So it's volunteer driven. The idea of the board is that the money that we bring in goes to the program. So I'm not sure if there's money outstanding. We don't know how that is at the moment. We're gonna find that out. But it's volunteer driven. The idea is that we have a board, we fundraise, all of our sponsorship money, everything goes to this program, and so that we can buy our kids, team bats, or we can improve our fields, or we can do things so the kids are excited to have nice uniforms, those types of things. So it is something that the kids are excited about, and that's kind of what I'm hoping. If we can do it volunteer driven, not one person is out to make the money, we're just as the board running it together to earn money for the program. So that's kind of the reason we're here tonight. I've got some forms right there in front of Josh. If everyone will take a form, we can wait till the end, or we can pass it around. We can pass it around, it's fine. It's for if you're interested in being a board member, or if you're interested in just being a coach, or a volunteer at any time, of any kind. So it's on there just to get some information. I'll reach out to you personally and just say, hey, this is kind of what we've put our heads together alongside the town, this is kind of what we're thinking, see if you're interested. It's a little bit detailed on where you might be interested. I'm very like firm on boundaries, so if you're on the board, it's like, this is my boundary, this is what I can do. I can do concessions, I can do, you know, registration, I can do this, and then hopefully we can all kind of put our heads together and respect those boundaries and then work together, so like I said, it runs successfully. So, kind of for the board members, basically assisting in planning, decision-making, attending the meetings, which really, we kind of talked a little bit before this, but the idea is that basically we need to try to get our registration forms out. I think in the next 2 weeks. That's pushing it, I know, with the town, but Jacksonville, Milan, lots of other surrounding places already have their forms out. As you know, lots of things are going around about going to other programs. We want people to stay here at our local program, so that's why I'm hoping we can get these out sooner rather than later. Get those back, start practicing, or get those back, form our schedules, and then my hope is that our schedule starts like beginning of May. Like our games start beginning of May and we're done like second week of June. The board will decide that together, but I talked to Kayla that runs Jacksonville and a few other people, that's kind of what they do. So again, this is all open for discussion, so everyone can give their input on that. And basically just guide the long-term success of the league. We also need coaches of course, that are here to have fun, but also focusing on fundamentals, and we can provide support for you as the board. And then we'll need to do something with the concessions. We would like to rent, kind of how it works, just to clear the air, and Roxanne can speak to this. As it stands right now in the contract, which nobody has signed, but it's $1,000 to rent the fields from the town, and it's $1,000 to rent the concession stands. So that's where these numbers, if you hear numbers like jostled around in comparisons to different things, that's right now how it's set up to be. $1,000 to have the fields through June 30th at this point, I believe the contract says, and then the concessions is $1,000. We need a president of the board, like I told you. I'll break all this down later if anyone's interested. Vice president, treasurer, secretary, and then I kind of think if we can break it down into like somebody that handles like signups and registration, equipment and fields coordinator, which we kind of have some people interested in, and then also helping with the concessions. So, really past that, I just basically we're just here to get feedback, to answer questions, and we're here to, as a business owner, someone who's on the school board, lots of us are all involved in the community. Our job is to work together with the Canes program and the Rec League program. We're working together to make the sports complex best for everyone. We are not here to, I'm not here, and I think most of us can say the same, we're not here to work separately. My oldest son plays on the travel baseball team. I don't have anything against travel baseball. My youngest two play in the Rec League program. So there's different fits for different kids. That's for everyone to decide on their own. But the idea is that our Rec League is open to everyone, and that we work alongside the existing programs such as the Canes, who are also paying money to rent the fields. This is not something where the town's charging us and not charging them. Everyone has an agreement with the town to pay something for these fields. Our idea is that we work together. So right now, as the contract stands, correct me if I'm wrong, we have access to the fields on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. The Canes have access to the fields Wednesdays and Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays are up for whoever needs them. So my hope is that we can just work together with the Canes so that we can all come up with a schedule that works for everyone and is in those parameters, and I think it'll work out just fine. They're doing things to improve our fields. They've got a tournament scheduled there, and that just brings people to the town. So I think if you're here and you live in this town, that's best for everyone. It increases all sorts of things for our town, and so getting more people to see for sales and visit for sales is always a good thing. So that's my take on it, and I'm hoping we can all work together to make that happen. So does anyone have any questions? We're kind of just here for discussion, like I said, questions, discussion, improvements, interest, anything like that. That's kind of what we're here for tonight. So.
We kind of talked money a little bit earlier. Is there a bank account that has money?
No, there is not, because that was a nonprofit group also that had done that, and so all their profits stayed with them. They did just basically what that contract says. They paid us $1,000 to use the fields. They paid us another $1,000 to use the concession stand, and by the way, that is pretty well equipped with, you know, the things you need to, you know, make things work. But no, there would not be money. Now, there is money in the, one of our funds, our sports complex fund, and we actually increased that budget a little bit in anticipation of making some improvements and that kind of thing. There is money there for equipment, correct? And we did an inventory, is that right? So you kind of have an idea. I think we know we need to buy a couple pitching mounds. We know some things we have to go ahead and get simply because of this tournament that we've committed to, which I will tell you, we're really excited about that. We had a group, we got interested in tournaments about 2018, I think it was, and they did 2, maybe 3 that year, and then those 2 guys split hairs, and that was the end of that. So we've been looking for a long time for a group to come in and use this complex. It just doesn't make sense for something that big and that nice to just sit there and sit there and sit there. And I mean, I know it gets used for 6 or 7 or 8 weeks for the rec league, but you know, we want it used. And so the answer is, just what I said, that you don't have access. They're a nonprofit. That's their money. When they set up a nonprofit, I know you have to say, here's what's gonna happen if we fold. Okay, now, they don't have to fold. I don't want you to think they do or anything like that. But that is their money to work with and not yours and not the town's either, so, okay?
So I do have clarification on that as we try to figure out what we're gonna do, if we form a board and apply to be a board that runs this. When we ask sponsors to give money to this program, this money to this program is really going to this non-for-profit. So
Yes.
that money is not carried over year to year. Okay.
Wait a minute, say that again.
Like as a business who like pays to sponsor these teams and things
Yeah.
of this sort, that money goes into a pool, right,
Okay.
of monies, and so I'm just
Your
asking.
pool.
Right.
Yeah,
whoever's
not the
running
town's.
it. So it
Okay.
really doesn't carry over, it's not really, I mean, it's for the program, but it's not dedicated money that has to stay with the program.
Well, if you have a nonprofit organization, it has
Right.
to stay with your nonprofit.
Right,
And,
right.
and I would encourage you probably to do that. It's just a good a way of accounting for your money and making sure it stays there and has the intended purpose. And, you know, we can, I know some people that can give you a little direction on that if you
Yeah.
need that,
Yeah.
but
So the answer to that is right now, there is no
right now, you're
funds.
starting at square
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
0. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Did you say so we're starting at ground zero funds?
Yep.
0, yeah.
Funds, yeah.
Yeah, 0 funds. But understand, the town has funds,
Right.
not necessarily to run your league, or the league, our league. But, you know, there's money there if we need to buy some new equipment the kind of equipment that stays there all the
Sure,
time.
sure.
You know, the catcher's gear and that kind of stuff. There's funds there if we need to do that.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments, questions? We will talk a little bit about improvements. We are definitely here to just improve the program. That's it. We're not here for any other sole purpose other than to make this the best program for the kids. So that is what I would ask the focus to be on after we just have an open discussion about this is what can we do to make this a competitive program that our kids can have fun in, and what are some things that maybe we can work together to do. So does anyone have any comments on that? Like things that you see that you're like, hey, I think, how can we improve? How can we improve the rec league? What would you like to see?
So, got plenty of ideas.
Yeah.
Obviously did the travel ball thing for a long time, rec league as well. Obviously work together. Some of the big things I do as a coach as well as I look at, not necessarily, I like to listen to other people. That's how you learn business. So a lot of complaints are is like awards or kids lose out on being overlooked, especially regularly. You got the smaller kids, you got some other kids that just doesn't have the parents not enough time to give them some extra work. I would like to see or come up with some award like game balls every day for coaches. Say, hey, we'll go through and we'll buy all these baseballs. Obviously they don't have to be top 10 because they're just game balls. Like, I got the Fearless Award because we see so many kids up there at the plate that are scared to death up there. You know, when they get into live pitching or something, like, hey, I seen little Johnny up there. He went up there fearless. You know, realistically, he knows that little kid knows he was scared, but then it helps promote him to be, oh man, that coach noticed me. Here's that award. Here is the best teammate award for promoting to be the best teammate. You know, and these kids then, and hopefully parents then will recognize that our kids being recognized for even the small things. You don't have to be the best hitter. You don't have to be the strongest kid out there. You don't have to be those things. We want to recognize those individuals as who they are and what they can bring, help promote that confidence in them, you know, and future coach awards, that kid's always listening, you know, and say, hey, I'm going to recognize this. So if we have each coach on their own say, hey, we're going to leave all the baseballs in the shed, grab a couple and recognize and try to fill in for every kid, make up something. I mean, I got plenty of ideas for different types of awards for all these kids to help promote that, because that's what we want. We don't, because every year it seems like for not just this Wrigley, there's been multiples, the kids get overlooked are the ones that usually quit and never come back. Of some way, some shape or fashion, and then I want that to promote that kid can hold up his baseball and have a picture with his parent. So look what I got today, you know, for being, he called me the future coach because I was always listening. Now that's when I get that kid to really try to promote other things with other kids too. And all these different types of awards, we can all come together and say, hey, here's these. Also, like little fun things, like say T-ball, we can dance for candy after the game's over. Hey, put a speaker on, start dancing around, and everybody gets some bubble gum afterwards. You know, that's the whole point, is these kids having fun. We can separate ourselves from other rec leagues because a lot of the rec leagues are just, hey, we're here for baseball, softball, and that's it. You know, so let's find some ways to differentiate, to start promoting these positivity, you know, these positive things from this town. We can also, ideas are, on the weekends we can host some banana baseball rule games, something fun on the side, you know, where it just kind of completely is like, you know, hey, now we run to third, second, first, you know, just something to promote these fun things. We can have water gun days after a lot of these things are then what parents then start taking pictures. They are super proud of what's going on, of the promotion of these kids having fun. Those little things help out, and now we can start building numbers up, and that's the whole point. It's about the kids. Period, point blank. That's where, I've got a bunch of stuff written down, but those are just a few ideas that I think of how to start bringing them in here, keeping them as well, and go from there. But there's a bunch that I got tons of ideas though, for different things for these kids to have fun, to not be overlooked. That's the biggest thing.
And I think my ideal world, and I think I talked to Josh and he was thinking the same thing, and Roxanne, is if we can have a board that's evolving, where it's like, okay, somebody's kids aged out, and I've got new parents that come on, and it's a consistent, you know, year to year thing where it's like, okay, we are able to have extra, like it's not somebody earning the money. It's like this is just a group of people that are passionate about letting our kids in this community, and so it's like, oh, this fund has money that, you know, somebody's goes off, somebody comes on and is like, okay, we've got extra money for, you know, water guns and bubbles and you know, bubble gum and all this stuff. Like, you know, I think we want to have fun, and we also want to develop, and we want to have fun, take it seriously, but like, we don't want people to be jumping to other rec leagues. We want people to stay in this community. So I think if we can, you know, maybe we go, like, you know, go back to doing like all-star teams. Like that was something back in the day that was like, that was the, you know, you had people trying out, you had all-star teams, and you traveled around to, you know, a couple local places. And I know there's, you know, we've got other things going on, but it's like just things that set people apart. So maybe I can't go travel and do that. Some kids are made for that, some kids aren't made for that, but maybe I can be on the local rec or all-star team, and I get to, you know, things like that. That's like, let's not just have a 8-week season and be like, how fast can we get this done, and throw it together last minute. I really feel like if we can put opening day, like they've done some great things in the past, but I'm thinking like, can we have Michael Eddie's out there? Can we have Kona Ice? Can we do a home run derby? Can we do a, like, let's make it where like you're there to get your pictures taken. It's a big event. Milan does like a big parade, I think. They make it an event. It's like, let's celebrate these kids, and everyone knows that this is the day that they can be celebrated. So all good ideas, and one thing I think is gonna be pertinent for this season, because we're like, we need to get on it, is like, I'm hoping we can come up with enough people that can help us get this board started so that we can go back to the town and say, hey, we've got a board of people, they're passionate, and it's gonna take a lot of people to make this work and to do all those extra things and not overload someone. So I'm hoping
Yeah,
we can do that.
I agree with that. I think it's plenty of volunteers, you have plenty of volunteers that help out, everybody can share the load, everybody, because it's obviously always about the kids.
Yeah,
So, we can also do developmental camps.
yeah, and I'd love to see our
Summer,
school get
fall,
involved. I know we talked
yeah.
about that too, like, you know, I think get those get, you know, that's kind of ending their season like in May, I believe. Is that about right?
Towards the end of May.
Okay.
Sectionals are usually.
Yeah.
in
But like, you know, if we can incorporate them somehow where it's like, you know, my son like looks at a varsity baseball player and it's like, you know, he's it, you know, so I'm like, if we can tie in a way to find a way to tie our school into it and get the school support, which I'm sure that we would be able to get, it's like, just to get those kids feeling like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
this is,
absolutely.
I've made it, you know, this is super cool and, yeah, I agree with you.
And that's where I think like, any extra programs we can get can help build this town up and this facility get noticed for what it is. Versailles has always been a drive-through town. How about, let's be a stop-in town. Let's,
Yeah.
you know, support local businesses. Let's get this going. They have 2 nice facilities to just be sitting there.
Yeah,
So we can do all kinds of camps for these kids, developmental camps, get kids excited. That's the most important, get kids excited. I want to have fun, so, yeah.
yeah, I agree. Anyone else?
What is I don't know what age groups are on you. My little girl plays 11. What softball, what is the age group for that?
Yeah, so I think it was a little different last year than maybe in the past. And again, we'd have to decide as a board like what kind of rules we're gonna follow and all that sort of thing. That's something I'm not super, I'm educated more on the softball side than the baseball, and even that, I just know like kind of where my son's at right now. But so I think this is a long way around your question, but we need to clearly communicate that with everyone what the rules are. And the coaches, like coaches first and foremost, these are the rules that we play by, make sure that we communicate with other teams. I asked the girl that runs the Jackson Dell program what she kind of does. She said she usually does like 4 and 5 year olds, 4 to 6 in T-ball, but 6 can request to play up, because sometimes you get big 6-year-olds and that's a safety issue. 8U is more of like your 6 to 8, 10U obviously that kind of that age group. And then we were kind of talking, and anybody can correct me because I'm not 100% sure, 10 to 12 would be like your 12U age grade, and Babe Ruth, 12 and up, 12 to 15?
12 to 15.
Okay,
usually.
okay. So she'd probably be in, if she's 11 now, I don't know when the cutoff will be, we'll have to decide that. I thought last year it was May 1st, but I could be totally wrong on that. I might be wrong on that, don't quote me on it, but I'm thinking 12U, she would fall in. So, and I did like last year, the sign-ups, like you put your kid's age, and then you also check the box, and that was a little bit different, I think, from the years prior. You know, so I have a 6-year-old, but he's played 2 years of T-ball, like I really want him to play in the 8U, you know, so that way the parents can kind of judge it, and then that's just a conversation we have to have with the parent. Hey, you're sure they're good to play 8U, and, you know, I don't think we need 3 years in T-ball, that sort of thing. Again, we want to push the kids to be developed, but we don't want it to be unsafe, so. Anyone else?
Well, I was gonna ask, who did it last year and what happened to them? Was it, I have the name Sean Laker? Or-
Sean
It was,
Farrell did that.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I couldn't think of his name.
He didn't do it last year, but he did it. Okay. Yeah.
it was, Jared, Amos, and a board. They had a board, so it was a board of people kind of similar to what we're wanting to do. They developed a board, and they ran it, and from my understanding, and again, anyone can correct me, they just could not come to an agreement on, I believe, the field usage and the contract and what it all stated. Roxanne?
Yeah, basically, there was, basically the town was asked to give them, all the Saturdays and Sundays, the weekend dates, and we had a group from out at North Vernon, Ohio Valley Sports, some of you may have heard of them. They run the U-Trip tournaments, and they had already approached us about having some tournaments, which we've been looking for that for years. And we have one that's already scheduled. It's the third weekend, I think, in May. It's around the
Mother's
16th,
Day.
17th.
Mother's Day
May
weekend.
17th, that week.
That won't be Mother's Day. Mother's Day will be more around the,
It's not- it's
They
Mother's
they
Day
call it
weekend.
Mother's Day.
it's Mother's Day? Oh, okay, you're calling, okay, but whatever.
I think
We
it
had
was
one
17th, I think
scheduled.
Mother's Day was 17th.
We had one scheduled and we knew that we wanted to leave it open so we had opportunities. And we had had some conversations about, you know what, the fields aren't being used. The Canes group already said they would be playing in their tournaments on the weekends, so they wouldn't be using them. They were wide open, you guys can use them and that's fine, but they wanted that in writing and we
May
just
8th or
couldn't.
10th is that
We
term.
just didn't.
May 8th or 10th. Is that
That's not what I
I
have.
had the 17th.
I have like the
16th and
17th too.
17th.
That was the initial one.
Oh, okay.
Came back and said, Josh, it's May 8th or 10th.
Okay, all right.
They
So in any case,
initially had
we have one coming.
put in the different one, then
Yeah.
Dean got back with me
Okay.
and said, okay,
Yeah.
why do May 8th or 10th?
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where we are.
So, yeah, basically that's where it left. Nobody, was, like I said, nobody in this room, from what my understanding, was looking to take it over. Basically, it was just, that was what it was, and then now in order for us to have a season, we need to find a board of people that are willing to do it, so. Anyone else?
I'd say probably have quite a few volunteers, discuss another time, whatever. Like I said, I believe in all of us getting together, just helping everybody out with these kids.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can step in and be amazing how many ideas we can get to really promote this, so. That's
Yeah,
just-
and we need a president. I'm just gonna reiterate that. I'm not the president of this board. I will do anything on this board. And so again, if I just wanna, for me, I'm gonna do something, I wanna be, give 110% to be the president of this board, and I know that my capacity cannot do that right now, but I know that I can give time to be a part of the board, and so my hope is that we can have a president come forward, or somebody that will say, I will be the president. Just my thoughts on the president is basically main point of contact, and then my idea would be, we can structure it however you would want to, but my thought would be, oh, you have a question about, signups and registration, you need to call Rachel. Rachel handles signups and registration. Oh, you got a question about X, you need to call Josh, he handles that. That's my idea, so they're gonna be the main point of contact, but it's not that person runs the league, they're on their own, they gotta be up there every day, not that sort of thing. The town, cuts the grass for us, they stripe the fields, they drag the fields, they take care of that, so in regards to that side of things, it's taken care of, but that's kind of my thought. The person decides what kind of rules we come up with, and then the board discusses that. I mean, those types of things, and in my eyes, I'm hoping we can have a vice president, a treasurer that handles the money, and so I think we need to have checks and balances on that, as business owners. Like, if I'm gonna give to a program, I wanna know that the money is going to the program. So, and I'm sure that was what's happening in the past, I'm not saying that it wasn't, I believe that it was. It's just, I think we need to be very transparent of this money. Hopefully, like I said, we can kind of revolve it so that money stays. We're not starting from ground zero year after year. That's kind of my hopes. Treasurer, secretary, like signups and registration person, maybe an equipment and fields coordinator, maybe a concessions coordinator, which I'm hoping maybe we can team with the school, and maybe get a club or athletic group to say, hey, can you run the concessions? Once we pay back the $1,000 or whatever, we'll split the profit 60-40 or something like that. 40% goes to whatever club's scheduled to run it, 60% goes back to the program. We'd have to discuss that and decide on that as a board. Just my thoughts. So, we could even say, hey, you're in charge of T-ball. Like, okay, we have a president, we have a vice president, we have these other roles, because I think to have a healthy board, we need to have those roles, a secretary, a treasurer, but then it could be like, hey, I run the T-ball. So only T-ball uses this one field. If it's a T-ball question, you gotta talk to so-and-so. If it's an AU question, you gotta talk to me. We could even structure it like that. If we get enough people to wanna be on the board, then we can definitely do that. That would be my hope, so.
Because one thing about the concession thing, I was gonna talk about, so that Mother's Day tournament, we can run that concessions and make money off that. So that's not-
Absolutely, we want you to
it's
run
not
that.
just the Canes doing it,
Because
so-
believe me, I don't want it.
No, Brian doesn't want anything to do with it, so yeah, that would be something you would do.
So, I mean, if we're talking about making money for the organization, I'm thinking, how cool would it be to have these top grade, like these super cool uniforms. How cool is it to have these nicer back, things like that. That's all stuff we're gonna have to raise money to do. The town provides us with equipment, but if we wanna kinda go above and beyond that, kind of start making it where the kids are like, oh, this is super cool, or, oh, we can pay to do these things, or we can have a bunch of game balls because we've got extra funds. That's a great opportunity, that is a great moneymaker. If we can run the concession stands, and we can do that, once we pay the $1,000 to the town, we can run the concession stand for as many tournaments that may or may not come up, along with all the rec league scheduled games. So that'd be a great weekend that we could fundraise quite a bit of money for the program if we can get people involved. I'm thinking we can also do like, hey, if you work 2 concession stand times, like you get your 45, you get your player feedback or something. They've done that in the past where I think, people are paying $45 a kid is hard for people to come up with. So like, oh, I'll volunteer 2 times and work the we can get creative with it is my idea. Just a thought I had, but yeah.
Some of the older kids and let them take some turns in the concession stands to help out.
Like players.
Let them take some pride in their community.
Yeah.
And let them justify.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I kind of think it'd be cool to maybe do like get the kids to do like a mentorship thing with like a team, like assign them to if it's a 12U player or a Babe Ruth player. It's like, hey, would you go to one practice and work with these kids like on some development stuff? Just these 8-year-old kids look at this 15-year-old kid like they're gonna listen to every word that they say, versus the coach probably go in one ear and out the other. So it's like just things like that to kind of like bridge this gap of like what I think most of us remember rec league being to like now kind of where our where it's at, to no fault of anyone's. It's just this is where we're at. Like how do we kind of get back to people being excited to play rec league and being a part of the community. And hopefully I'm sure that's where we're all kind of sitting at. So anyone else? Is there anything, one thing, like, I know last year, there was some traveling, things like that. My hopes is, again, I'm not gonna say this is what we're doing, or that we can do, but my hopes is that we can try to get ahead of the scheduling, sit down with Jacksonville and Milan and try to get those people on our books, and then hopefully even that is minimized, because I know that that's even difficult for working parents or whoever to get kids traveling, that can be difficult. So I'm hoping that we can get a board formed, get something in agreement with the town, get our signups out there, we can kind of get a schedule started. I think we need to talk, Jacksonville said February they want to sit down and get a schedule in Milan, and then hopefully we can eliminate having to travel so much unless we have to, especially for the younger grades, like your 8Us and younger at least.
I think we should also be very clear during signups that there will be some traveling, because I know that really shook a lot of people last year. Even I, as one of the coaches in 8U, I was surprised to see that I was traveling multiple places.
Right.
So we had no idea, so I think we need to make sure everyone's aware of that during signups, because that could alter their decision.
Right. So it's kind of just an urgency, I think, at this point to get a board formed, as many people as we can. And also knowing that if you agree to be a part of the board, that it is a board that we want to take seriously. We want the rec league to be taken seriously. So we're hoping if you sign up to be on the board, you're willing to say, this is what I can do, and then we'll respect the boundary of oh, this is what they said they can do. That's perfect. Everyone has a spot on the board. We just want to make sure that everyone's willing to do that job that they kind of agreed to do, and then hopefully we can work out the rest. But I think kind of getting that started is going to be our first thing, so that we can schedule, so that we can make parents aware, so we can communicate all those things. So, is there anything else that we'd like to see for rec league this year? Any suggestions, comments, questions?
I would just say, that post on Facebook sounded really bad. It was really negative. Josh and I talked that, the Canes doing this is a good thing. It's a moneymaker for the town and for that. So it's almost like I wish somebody would explain on Facebook that, you know, canes are not, in a sense, you know, everybody said the canes are taking over everything, and Versailles isn't gonna have any teams, which isn't true.
Right.
It was,
Blown out of
it
proportion.
was blown way out of proportion. Is also us trying to understand that, you know, we're adults here, and also not trying to feed into the negativity. I'm hoping the product that we help put out there for these kids in this community, that will speak for itself.
Mhm.
Our biggest goal when we started talking to town was a year and a half ago. And-
Year ago, yeah.
And that's all, it was all about our kids in our community. That's all it was, and it just got blown out of proportion.
Because I heard that too, that everybody's gonna go to Milan, Jacksonville, and there's no need for that, but I don't think people understand that.
Right, I don't think people understand it, and so I thought like the town did a great job of making the post, like this is clarification, we will have, a rec league, but I do want everyone to understand we won't have one unless we can get people that care enough to do it. But, you know, sharing things and commenting things are easy, but really we need to just be adults, we need to work together, and we need to all step up to the plate and say, okay, we all care, and we have a little bit of time to give, like, let's give it to this board and let's make a really good league happen, and I think we can do it. I think we're all here for the right reasons, and I know we all wanna work together, and so my hope is that it's like, okay, here's clarification, which the town did, we will have a rec league program, and we do have people interested in running a board, and I'm not gonna let it see it die, and I think most of you are on the same page, so what do we need to do to make that happen? And then we'll just learn each year, what can we do better, what can we improve? But I do think that if we're passionate about it, it'll be successful, and if people have already jumped ship, it's unfortunate, so I'm hoping we can just make it the best that we can for the kids that do sign up, and then hopefully we'll just keep getting numbers back. Every year it feels like our numbers go down, you know, and I hate that because we do have things, I think we have great programs at the junior high level, I think we have great programs, you know, I think we have lots of people that care. So I definitely don't want our youth theater program to die out, and so I think we can work together and make that happen, that we will have it one way or another, so.
I think it's essential and just to our children to not,
Yeah.
I think it would be so sad for all of them,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Anyone else? If you have any interest in being on the board, or if you can, if we're a coach or anything of that sort, if you'll just set it on the end of the table once we leave here tonight, that'd be great. I'll reach out to you directly and just say like, hey, this is kind of what I'm reading, what is your interest, kind of gauge the parameter of that. And then I'm thinking we'll have to probably come up with another board meeting once we talk to the town, and the town, we have to apply for that position, in my understanding, correct?
Yes.
We have to apply for that position, and then if the town grants us that role, we have to have a contract with them, and then we can get the ball rolling. So all those things are probably gonna have to happen kind of quickly, so probably be hearing from me like early next week at the latest, and then probably have to have another board meeting once all that gets approved, and then kind of get the ball rolling. So we need a president. I think everyone's willing to do the other role, so if anyone feels led to be the president role, just know it would be done with a ton of support from me and several other people that have already committed to be on the board, and so we would greatly appreciate it. Or if you know someone, I've been making phone calls like crazy trying to find someone that might be willing to run it, so if you know someone, pick up the phone and call them and just say, hey, we need someone in this role, but you've got tons of parents and tons of people that are willing to support. It will not be a one-man show. It will be for all of us to work together and make it as successful as we can, so.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
You've been talking about, I did look back and, Sean Halcomb ran the program himself, you know,
Yeah.
he was a one-man show, and he
Yeah.
did it very, very well for many years. And, his goal was to have the, registrations out by March 15th. So you're like 2 months earlier than it ever used to be. And I don't know why that's happened, you know, I don't understand that, but I mean, I'm sitting here thinking they've got plenty of time, but I know you don't, because the others are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
and I understand you're gonna lose some kids this year, but you're gonna gain them back, okay?
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident
Yeah,
about
I
that.
feel confident too. We have
We've
the
lost them in the
facilities.
past for different reasons, and they come back,
Yeah.
so. it'll
And
be
so we'll
okay.
just make it so they want to come back, right? So that's kind of the goal, is just make it successful, make it fun, make it so kids are developing and learning, you know. I have a son that plays travel right now, and tomorrow he might decide he doesn't want to do that anymore, and it's like, okay, well, if you're done with the season, then that's a conversation we'll have, and so, you know, you're not gonna quit, but like, we'll finish the season, but that's how kids are, so they might find another passion, so I feel like Rec League is so vital for all these kids, because somebody might be a basketball person, but just wanna play baseball, so we need to keep programs in place so that people can do that, and that's what I feel like we're gonna do, and I think we'll do it well, so. I appreciate everyone else's time. Roxanne, Josh, you guys have anything to add?
No, I don't, but we have to close the
Yep.
meeting, so. Any other comments from anybody?
Any chance Sean Halcom?
He lives in Madison now.
Oh, does he? Oh, I didn't know that, sorry.
Yeah,
It'd be
he's,
great to bring him back.
yeah, if we could reel him in. All right, so do you have addresses and contact information for everybody here?
Yep, you filled out the form, if you just
Okay.
leave it on the
Okay.
table as you leave.
And you're welcome to stay and sit down and do that if you need to do that. And if not, then I will accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. Okay.